Pablo Escobar, the king of cocaine. Pablo Escobar was one of the most famous and dangerous drug lords in history. He was born on December 1, 1949, in a small town in Colombia called Rio Negro. His full name was Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria. He grew up in a poor family. His father was a farmer, and his mother was a schoolteacher. From a young age, Pablo wanted to be rich. He did not want to live a poor life like his parents. As a teenager, Pablo started doing small crimes. He stole cars, sold fake lottery tickets, and smuggled cigarettes. He was smart and bold. He knew how to make money fast, even if it was illegal. Slowly, he became known in the criminal world. But this was only the beginning. In the 1970s, Pablo saw a new way to make a lot of money. At that time, many people in the United States were using a drug called cocaine. Cocaine is made from coca plants, which grow in South America. Pablo started buying coca leaves from farmers in Peru and Bolivia. He brought them to Colombia and made cocaine in secret labs. Then, he sent the cocaine to the United States. People there paid a lot of money for it. Pablo became very rich. He created a group called the Medellin Cartel. This group controlled most of the cocaine that went into the U.S. The cartel made billions of dollars every year. Pablo was now a very powerful man. He used his money to buy big houses, land, cars, and even airplanes. He built a huge estate called Hacienda Napoles. It had a zoo, a private airport, swimming pools, and even dinosaurs made of stone. He lived like a king. But Pablo did not only use money for himself. He also gave money to poor people in Colombia. He built houses, schools, and hospitals. He gave food to the hungry and helped the sick. Many poor people loved him. They called him Robin Hood. They saw him as a hero who helped the poor and fought the rich. However, Pablo's money came from drugs. And his business was full of violence. He killed many people who got in his way. Police officers, judges, politicians, and even journalists were targets. He paid people to kill them. Sometimes, he even bombed buildings and airplanes. His favorite rule was plata o plomo, which means silver or lead. It meant that people had two choices: take a bribe, money, or get a bullet, death. By the 1980s, Pablo Escobar was the richest criminal in the world. Forbes magazine listed him as one of the wealthiest men alive. His cartel was sending 80% of the cocaine in the U.S. He was earning over $400 million every week. He had so much money that rats ate millions of dollars in his storage houses. Still, he had more than he could ever use. But not everyone admired Pablo. The Colombian government and the United States wanted to stop him. They knew his drugs were destroying lives. They knew he was dangerous. So, they started working together to catch him. They formed special police forces and used spies and technology to track him. In 1989, Pablo Escobar did something terrible. He planted a bomb on a passenger airplane to kill a presidential candidate. The plane exploded, and 107 people died. This act shocked the world. After that, the hunt for Pablo became more serious. Pablo knew he was in danger. So he tried to make a deal with the Colombian government. He said he would stop his drug business if they let him stay in Colombia and not send him to the U.S. for trial. Surprisingly, the government agreed, but on one condition: he had to go to prison. But Pablo built his own prison. It was called La Catedral, and it was more like a luxury hotel. It had a gym, a bar, a jacuzzi, and even a waterfall. He lived there with his friends and continued to run his drug empire. The police were not allowed to enter. It was a joke. After a year, the government realized Pablo was still doing illegal things. So they decided to move him to a real prison. But Pablo escaped. He went into hiding. For more than a year, no one could find him. He used safe houses and moved around often. He changed his appearance and used bodyguards. The United States sent a special team to help find him. They trained Colombian police and gave them equipment. They also used satellites to listen to phone calls. Slowly, they got closer. On December 2, 1993, one day after his 44th birthday, Pablo Escobar made a phone call to his son. That call helped the police find his location in Medellin. The police surrounded the building. Pablo tried to escape by running across the roof. But he was shot and killed. Some say he was shot by the police. Others believe he shot himself. But one thing was clear: the king of cocaine was dead. The aftermath of Escobar's death. After Pablo Escobar died, many people in Colombia felt relief. The country had been in fear for many years. People were scared to speak, scared to walk freely, and scared to live their normal lives. Escobar's death ended a dark chapter in Colombia's history. But it did not mean that everything was okay. Even after Pablo died, his cartel did not disappear quickly. Other drug lords tried to take over his business. Some groups, like the Cali cartel, became stronger for a while. These new cartels were smarter. They did not use as much violence. Instead, they used bribes and quiet deals. They kept making and selling drugs, but they stayed away from the media. The Colombian government also began fighting drug trafficking in a bigger way. With help from the United States, they destroyed drug labs and arrested many drug lords. They also tried to help poor farmers grow other crops instead of coca leaves. These efforts helped a little, but the drug problem was too big to solve quickly. Pablo's family also suffered. After his death, his wife and children had to run away from Colombia. Many people wanted to hurt them. They moved from one country to another, looking for a safe place. Finally, they got asylum in Argentina. There, they changed their names and tried to live a normal life. Pablo's son, who was named Juan Pablo, later spoke out about his father. He said that he was ashamed of the things his father did. He changed his name to Sebastián Marroquín and became an architect and writer. He visited schools and prisons to tell young people not to follow the path of crime. He also wrote a book called Pablo Escobar, My Father, where he told the story of his life with Pablo. Over the years, Pablo Escobar became a strange kind of legend. Many people still talk about him. Some people hate him because he was a killer and a drug dealer. Others admire him because he helped the poor and stood against the rich and powerful. Movies, TV shows, books, and songs were made about him. The Netflix series, Narcos, made his story famous all over the world. In Medellin, the city where Pablo lived and died, people still remember him. Some people visit his grave. Others visit his old house, Hacienda Napoles, which is now a theme park. The zoo he built is still there, with animals like hippos that were brought from Africa. These hippos now live in the rivers and forests of Colombia. They are called the cocaine hippos, and they are a strange reminder of Escobar's power. But not everyone in Colombia likes this attention. Many Colombians believe that glorifying Pablo Escobar is wrong. They say he caused too much pain and death. They want people to remember the victims, not the criminal. They want young people to learn from the past, not repeat it. Why did Escobar become so powerful? Pablo Escobar did not become rich and powerful by luck. He had a special way of thinking. He was bold, clever, and ready to take big risks. But more than that, he understood people. He knew what people wanted, and he gave it to them. He gave drugs to Americans, money to farmers, and houses to the poor. In return, he got loyalty. In the poor parts of Colombia, many people had no jobs, no food, and no hope. The government did not help them. But Pablo gave them money, schools, and medical care. So they supported him. Some even protected him from the police. They saw him as one of their own. Also, Pablo knew how to use fear. If someone went against him, he used violence. He killed people in public to send a message. He paid young boys to become hitmen. He planted bombs and destroyed buildings. People were too afraid to stop him. He also paid off police officers, judges, and politicians. Some people took his money and looked the other way. Others tried to stop him and died. In this way, Pablo created a world where he was almost untouchable. For many years, no one could stop him. The human cost of the drug war. The story of Pablo Escobar is not just about one man. It is about a country that suffered. It is about thousands of lives lost. Escobar's war with the government caused the deaths of around 4,000 people. That included police officers, journalists, judges, and even innocent children. Many families lost loved ones. Many people lived in fear every day. Cities were full of violence. Bombs went off in shopping centers, buses, and airports. Children grew up with gunshots and blood on the streets. Even the people who worked for Escobar paid a price. Many of them were killed in fights with rival cartels. Others were arrested and spent years in jail. Some were tortured and betrayed. The drug business brought fast money, but also fast death. And what about the people who used the drugs? In the United States, cocaine addiction destroyed families. People became sick, lost their jobs, and went to jail. Crime went up. Hospitals were full of addicts. Children were born with problems because their mothers used drugs. The drug war hurt people in both Colombia and the U.S. It showed how one man's greed could damage so many lives. The global impact of Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was not just a problem for Colombia. He affected the whole world. His drug empire reached many countries, especially the United States. He showed the world how powerful and dangerous the illegal drug trade could be. Because of him, many governments started fighting drugs more seriously. During the 1980s and 1990s, the U.S. began what they called the War on Drugs. They sent millions of dollars to countries like Colombia to stop drug production. They trained police, built prisons, and used planes and helicopters to find drug labs. Many drug dealers were arrested, but new ones always came to take their place. Pablo Escobar also changed how people saw crime and power. He showed that one man could fight a government. He used fear and money to control whole cities. He made people ask, what happens when criminals are stronger than the police? Because of Pablo, Colombia's image in the world changed. For many years, people thought Colombia was only about drugs and violence. Tourists were afraid to visit. Foreign companies did not want to invest. This hurt the Colombian economy and made life harder for normal people. But slowly, Colombia started to change. After Escobar's death, the country began to recover. The government became stronger. New laws were made. The police and army were better trained. People started to feel safe again. Cities like Medellin, which were once full of crime, became centers of art, music, and tourism. Today, Colombia is known for its culture, coffee, and kindness, not just for drugs. But the story of Pablo Escobar still lives on, like a shadow from the past. Escobar's influence on culture and media. Even though Pablo Escobar was a criminal, he became a famous name in popular culture. Movies, TV shows, books, and even video games tell his story. The Netflix series, Narcos, is one of the most well-known. It shows how Escobar built his empire and how he was finally caught. Some people worry that these shows make Escobar look like a hero. They show his power, money, and style. They do not always show the pain he caused. Young people sometimes admire him because they think he was strong and fearless. This can be dangerous. But some books and films try to tell the truth. They show the sadness, the violence, and the broken lives. They show how many people suffered because of drugs and crime. These stories help people understand why Escobar was not a hero. There are also songs about Pablo Escobar. Some musicians sing about his life and death. In some places, people wear shirts with his picture. Some even get tattoos of his face. This shows how deeply his story touched people, both in good and bad ways. Lessons from the life of Pablo Escobar. The story of Pablo Escobar is full of lessons. It teaches us what happens when greed and power go too far. It shows that one man's dream of riches can become a nightmare for others. Here are some important lessons. 1. Money can't buy peace. Pablo had more money than most people in the world. He had gold, cars, houses, and even animals from Africa. But he was never safe. He was always running, always hiding. He died in fear, not in peace. Money cannot replace freedom or love. 2. Helping people does not erase crimes. Pablo helped many poor people. He built homes, gave food, and paid for schools. But that does not erase the fact that he killed thousands of people. Good actions cannot cancel bad ones. A true hero helps others without hurting anyone. 3. Violence creates more violence. Pablo used violence to get what he wanted. But this made more enemies. He had to kill more people to stay in power. In the end, violence destroyed him. Peace is the only true path to lasting success. 4. Family suffers too. Pablo said he loved his family. But because of his crimes, his wife and children had to run away. They lost their home and their name. They lived in fear, just like him. When one person chooses crime, the whole family pays the price. 5. Crime has no happy ending. At first, crime may bring fast money and excitement. But in the end, it brings pain. Many of Pablo's friends ended up dead or in prison. He lost everything. His story ended on a rooftop with bullets in his body. The strange legacy of Pablo Escobar. Even though Pablo Escobar died more than 30 years ago, people still talk about him. His name is known in every corner of the world. Some people hate him. Others admire him. But almost everyone agrees, his life was like a movie. In Medellin, where he once ruled, you can now find Pablo Escobar tours. People visit his grave, his house, and the places where he hid. Tour guides tell stories of the man who once controlled a whole country with fear. In strange ways, Escobar's name is now part of business too. Some shops use his image to sell t-shirts and coffee mugs. Some cafes are named after him. This makes some Colombians angry. They think it is wrong to make money from a killer's name. But others say it is part of history. Escobar cannot be erased. His story is a warning. A reminder. A lesson to the world. Pablo Escobar's rise and fall, a final look. Pablo Escobar's story is like a roller coaster. He started from nothing. He had no money, no power, and no fame. He was just a poor boy in Colombia. But he had a dream, to become rich. And he would do anything to make that dream come true. At first, he did small crimes. He was just another street thief. But when he entered the drug world, everything changed. He found a way to make more money than he ever imagined. Cocaine became his golden ticket. He started smuggling it into the United States. Soon, he controlled most of the world's cocaine trade. With that money, he built an empire. He made billions of dollars. He bought cars, planes, land, and even a private zoo. He was not just rich, he was powerful. He paid off police officers and politicians. He became stronger than the government. But power built on fear never lasts forever. Pablo Escobar used violence to get what he wanted. He killed judges, police officers, reporters, and even innocent people. He ruled through fear. He offered silver or lead, take a bribe or take a bullet. In the end, that fear turned against him. The government, the police, and even his own people stopped trusting him. He tried to run. He tried to hide. But he couldn't escape his past. On December 2, 1993, he was found and killed on a rooftop in Medellin. He died the same way he lived, fighting, running, and afraid. The lasting effects of drugs on society. Pablo Escobar's story is not just about one man. It is about a worldwide problem, drugs. His life shows us how dangerous and harmful drugs can be, not just for users, but for everyone. When people take drugs, their health is damaged. Their minds become weak. They lose control of their actions. They hurt their families. They lose their jobs. They get in trouble with the law. But drugs do not only hurt the users. They hurt whole communities. In poor villages, drug dealers give money to young boys and turn them into killers. In cities, drug gangs fight for power and kill innocent people. In families, parents and children are torn apart by addiction. Escobar's life is a clear warning: drugs destroy lives. Even today, drug problems continue in many countries. New cartels have replaced the old ones. New drugs have taken the place of cocaine. People still suffer. Children still grow up without fathers. Wives still cry for their husbands. Families still live in fear. Governments try to fight drugs with laws and police. But the fight is not only outside. The real fight is inside each person. People must choose a better path. They must say no to drugs. They must say yes to education, to family, and to peace. What if Escobar had chosen another path? Sometimes people ask, what if Pablo Escobar had used his brain and money for good? He was smart. He was strong. He was a leader. What if he had used those gifts to build a better Colombia? Maybe he could have been a businessman. Maybe a teacher or a politician. He could have helped his country grow in a clean way. He could have become a true hero. But he chose crime. He chose power over peace. He chose fear over love. In the end, he became a man with no friends, no trust, and no future. His life shows us how every choice matters. One wrong turn can change everything. One bad decision can hurt many people. It reminds us to think carefully about our path in life. A message to the world: choose the right path. Pablo Escobar's story is a story of ambition, power, and destruction. It teaches us many things, but the most important message is simple: crime is never the answer. If you want to be successful, you must work hard, study, and respect others. There are no shortcuts in life. Easy money brings hard pain. Fast success often ends in failure. Escobar had everything: money, fame, power, but he died with none of it. His family suffered. His country suffered. Even today, people feel the pain he left behind. You may not be rich now. You may be struggling. But if you stay honest, if you stay kind, if you work hard, you can build a good life, a clean life. A life with peace. That is the real success. That is the message of Pablo Escobar's story.